Hi there. I am going to show you a real short relaxation practice today. It should take us about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less. It's one of my favorite things to do when I feel worn out, exhausted, too much going on, like for example, the whole year, but also particularly this week, because it's Christmas week and this is when people are running around doing last minute shopping and it's when people just let go of their practice. I mean, this morning I was doing my regular weekly class that I teach in the Subtle Yoga Resilience Society, and usually we have, 60, 70, 80 folks there. Today there were like 35. At one point there were 40, but I get it. It's really hard to practice. I part of the reason I think that I started teaching yoga, part of the reason I continue teaching yoga is because it forces me to practice, and whatever tricks you need to get there. So I am going to invite you to grab a chair from your kitchen or your dining room or wherever you got a chair around, and we're going to come to the mat. You're welcome to have a blanket if you feel a little cold, or a bolster could also be helpful. So let me show you how to get into this pose first. So you want the legs of the chair, I hope you can see well enough. You want the legs of the chair to be somewhere on the mat, right? That's important so that the chair doesn't slip away. And then for getting into the pose, you want to get your hips close to the legs of the chair. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make is then they lie down this way, and that's not going to work. It's not going to work. So instead of lying straight back, you want to take your shoulder. I'm facing, let's see, my left shoulder is to the side of the mat. And the chair is kind of behind me, right? So I'm going to put my left shoulder down on that edge of the mat, then scoot my hips any amount closer, and then all I have to do is roll when I'm there. The bolster or blanket, folded blanket can be used, particularly if your heels are up in the air. It can be used to lift up and place under your sacrum. That's a great place for it. It also just can feel really comfortable if you have kind of a hot sacrum. It's I'm sure you have a hot sacrum, but I mean, if your sacrum is a little wonky and maybe gets a little irritated, then the blanket's really helpful. Blanket on top can be really helpful too. And then once you get your legs up and you're comfortable, that's when you just really soften into this pose. So I'm going to sit up and talk you through it while you're doing it. Because it does help to have a little bit of guidance with a pose like this. Like, okay, now I'm in the pose. Now what do I do? Right? You don't have to do anything if you're if you're content there. That's terrific. But if your mind tends to kind of go around, then it can be really useful to have some things to ground your awareness in. And one of the first things that you notice that can be noticed, you may notice when you lie down and put your legs up and you have that little support, either a bolster or a blanket underneath your hips. One of the first things that can be really helpful to tune into are the sensations in the low back area, particularly a little bit higher towards your lower back ribs. Can you let that area kind of spread out and soften a bit more? This is the area of the kidneys and on right in your low back, but kind of up towards your low back ribs. And they sit, and on top of your kidneys sit the adrenal cortex, the adrenaline glands, right? And they are sitting on top of your kidneys there in your back, and they are basically your batteries. I know you're not a car, but the storehouse of energy in the physical body. So one of the visualizations I love to do here is, can I feel my kidney area connecting to the energy of the earth, kind of grounding into the energy of the earth, so I can reconnect, I can restore my batteries, I can recharge my batteries. So take a few moments here to feel that part of your back sinking any amount more. Just really the whole of the low back, sacrum, all the way up to your back ribs, that whole area kind of sinking, connecting into the earth energy. Imagine the earth restoring your energy. What else can you let go of? Tiny bits of tension around the sacrum, perhaps. Perhaps there's tension around the iliac crest, the waist bones in the back there. Perhaps you notice some holding around your lumbar spine. What else could you let go of while you're here in this supportive position? And if you like, you can put your hands on your belly because sometimes the weight of the hands helps us to tune in a bit more to the low back area. You get a bit softer in your shoulder blade area and feel the collarbones softening as well. And soften the front of your throat, the corners of your mouth. Perhaps the insides of the mouth and the inside of the nose. Feel those areas as if you could soften them. Space between the eyebrows is another good one. And then take your awareness in the other direction. So travel down toward your legs. And notice the heaviness of your femur bones as they rest in the hip sockets, giving you a little more sensation of grounding. What else could you let go of here? What else could you soften? You are welcome to stay here as long as you like. Sometimes what's really nice to do is after legs up the chair for 5 or 10 minutes, slipping your legs underneath the chair and just taking a few minutes in Shavasana is also a really good idea. When the legs are elevated, it activates the baroreceptors. And the baroreceptors live in your carotid arteries and your heart, and they're kind of always on a lookout for what to do with your blood pressure. So when your legs go up, the blood pressure goes down, which is a good thing. That activates the whole parasympathetic response. So you're welcome to stay here as long as you like, and I would invite you to come back to this video once a day for the next couple of days to get you through the holiday season. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Namaste.